Hello again. Today's story is about the power of ideas. When Julia was little, there was a saying which went, "Sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me." Julia sometimes thought about this, and she thought it must be true because people said it. Certainly it was true about the sticks and stones. Ideas are tricky things. You can't point to an idea. An idea has no shape or sound or colour. An idea can't even exist if there is nobody to think it. And yet, once an idea gets stuck in a person's head, it can change everything. Julia used to share a bedroom with her little sister Fran. They each had a bed with sheets and blankets and an eiderdown on top to keep them warm in winter. It was sometimes very cold in winter and their bedroom had no heating, so they were glad to lie in their cosy beds until they had to get up. One morning, Julia and Fran woke up to find frost on their bedroom window. The window was divided into small panes of glass, and each pane had its own frost pattern, where the droplets of moisture had slowly frozen into curling, intricate fern shapes. Fran pointed to the most beautiful one and told Julia that it was hers. Julia was most indignant at this. How could Fran take the best window pane for her own, without consultation? But Fran had said it first, so Julia couldn't argue. Fran said that Julia could pick her own frost pattern too. So Julia picked the next most beautiful pane, and then Fran picked another one, and then Julia, and so on until they had appropriated all the window panes. It was interesting because nothing had changed except the ideas in their heads, and yet the world was not the same after that. Fran was 3 years younger than Julia, but she was the one with the ideas. Another of her ideas was to pretend their beds were carriages. Fran was a fine lady, riding in a splendid carriage with a team of horses to pull it. She shook the reins to move on, and when she wanted to stop the carriage, she pulled on the reins and shouted, "Whoa there!" Julia made her bed into a carriage too, and they travelled the countryside, talking about all the places they went to and the things they could see. Fran decided to give her horses names. "This one is called Starlight, and this one is called Moonbeam," she said. Julia felt it would be hard to match this extravaganza of romanticism. She tried to think of good names for her own team of horses, and suddenly the names popped into her head from nowhere. "Mine are called Shivershanks and Butterbottom," she said, triumphantly. And then she giggled, because they really were very funny names, and she was rather pleased to have come up with them. Fran, however, was not amused. She had been immersed in a wonderful fantasy where everything was special, and now Julia had gone and ruined it. She was very cross. Julia didn't quite understand why. About 60 years later, Julia was talking to her sisters on the internet, and Fran reminded her of this incident. Both of them remembered it very well, even though it had been 60 years ago. They remembered it not because it had been a fun game, but because Julia's idea had ruined Fran's idea. And yet, it was only names, after all.